All right, party people, welcome. Today I'm going to give you a brief walkthrough of Quai Vault. This is the one and only multi-sig implementation on Quai Network. Recently rolled out to mainnet, oh, I don't know, about a month ago now. And working on some additional things behind the scenes to make Quai Vault even more accessible, modular, and even agent friendly. So stay tuned for all of that. But today I'm going to get you all oriented, and then we're going to dive into actually creating a vault and using a vault on Quai Network. Now, the product is called Quai Vault, but this is not your typical DeFi vault. This is a multi-sig wallet on the Quai Network blockchain. So just to show you the layout real quick, this is the home page. There is some documentation. So if you ever are wondering what something is or what it's for, feel free to peruse the documentation. It is definitely developer friendly. The front end is absolutely amazing, if I do say so myself. And we recently just launched a TypeScript SDK for Quai Vault. So we'll be adding some more information here on the SDK if anybody wants to actually build with Quai Vault. And in the near future, we hope to release a CLI tool, a command line interface tool. Again, hoping to make this as easy as possible to use, depending on how you like to interact with your multisigs, and agent friendly along the way. So let's dive in, guys, shall we? Now, what I actually set up here, you should be able to see this, is a wallet I use to deploy DAOShips. So DAOShips is a DAO launcher on Quai Network. The DAOShips uses Quai Vault as the treasury for the DAOs. So we're going to use the mainnet Quai left over from launching DAOShips to walk you through this tutorial here. As you can see, we are live on mainnet. This wallet actually isn't connected yet. When we do, we should see at least one DAO or one vault pop up here. And this is from the DAO that, or sorry, this is the vault that is connected to the first DAO that was launched on mainnet. So here's that vault here. There's some owners, etc. But we'll get into this in a second. I'm going to go ahead and create a new vault and kind of like walk you guys through this overall process, what to expect, and all that jazz. So I just copied the address here, but you can see what we're doing is we're creating a vault. We're gonna smash this button here. It says use my address, and then I'm gonna add two more signers to this vault here. I'm gonna copy this address. I'm gonna paste that one in there, and I'm gonna add a second or a third signer here. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. So we got those three owners in the vault, and we're going to set the threshold or the number of approvals required for a vault to process a transaction to two of three owners. So every transaction proposed to this vault will require two of these three owners to actually approve it before executing. There are some advanced options here that I let you configure before you launch your vault. This is, really the only one here right now is the minimum execution delay. And so what this does is basically set a mandatory delay for all proposals that have passed, proposed transactions that have passed approvals before they can actually be executed. And that's an additional security feature that a lot of people like, so we have that in here. I will not set this right now, but I will set it later and kind of demonstrate how that works. But I will continue to deployment. It shows you a configuration summary of the vault before it deploys. And because Quai Network is a sharded blockchain where the addresses or the address space is also sharded, what we're gonna do is we're gonna mine those addresses that we need to actually launch this vault. So let's start deployment. We will approve, mine the address really quickly here. There's a transaction hash going on through, and we'll get our vault. So stand by. This shouldn't take too long. Boom. There it is. We can copy this address here, but this should kick us over to our view here. There is an indexer backing up this product in the back end here. So give that a second. We see our vault popping up down here. Boom. There it is. We're in. We got 3 owners, right? Here's our vault. There's a balance of 0 Quai. And I will kind of orient you to how to manage this thing here. But first, let's put some Quai in this vault, shall we? So we can copy the vault address here. We can go over here and drop some Quai in. Let's do 10 Quai just to start. Send. Done. Transaction sent. And then once that confirms, we should actually get a notification that that balance was updated. So give it a few seconds here and it should pop up. Pelagus confirmed the transaction, and then boom, there's the notification. You'll notice this application also supports desktop notifications. I'm going to allow those, but you can always turn those off up here by smashing that. You can also change the theme by clicking that right there. Sorry for the flashbang. But there you go. You got 10 Quai in your vault. And now if I go back to the home page and I refresh this, we should see 9 active vaults with 10 more Quai in them. So rock and roll. Pretty simple stuff here, guys. If you want to propose a new transaction, you smash that button. If you want to get a QR code or the address a second time to be able to send Quai or ERC20s or anything like that to this vault, you can absolutely do that. This vault supports ERC20s, ERC 721s, NFTs, and ERC 1155s. So you can interact with those. You can see down here is where they'll show up in the additional balance rows when they are coming in. And you can actually interact with those directly through the UI here. So that's super cool. Over here in history, you'll see history of all the transactions that have been proposed. And then, if all else fails, you can look up a specific transaction hash on chain to get the details and interact with that directly. So, just to walk you through a really basic transaction here. So we got 10 Quai in this vault. I want to send some of that Quai somewhere else, right? Let's send it to test one. Okay, so I'm going to copy this address. I'm going to create a new transaction. It'll be a send Quai transaction. We'll say this is the recipient, and let's send 3 Quai to this recipient. Okay, I'm going to propose. Here you see all the details of this. I can also set some additional options. I can set an expiration on these transactions. So after they're approved, if they are not executed before the expiration date, they will expire and that transaction will be null and void. I can also set a specific execution delay per transaction. Now this execution delay will be stacked on top of a default execution delay that is configured for the entire vault. So we won't hit those right now. I will just demonstrate how to propose a transaction. You get the details here. There's a recipient. We will propose said transaction. I will sign that. And I'm signing these messages in Pelagus. You're probably not seeing them on the screen, but just know that's exactly what's happening. Boom. Transaction confirmed. We saw a little notification in the background here. I can click done here. and it says transaction successfully proposed. Now I have a transaction in my pending transactions here. Okay. And as the proposer of said transaction, I could cancel that transaction. I also have some other tabs here that said need my approval, ready to execute, time locked, etc. I'm going to stay on all for now. I can go ahead and approve that transaction. Okay. Now, one thing I want to demonstrate here is if I switch to another account and I connect this account, boom. Now my ownership has changed. I'm getting some new notifications here as the new account. I also have the ability to approve said transaction, and so does that third account over there, right? Now, if I go into history here, we don't see any transactions completed, canceled, expired, failed, or what have you. But I can go ahead and approve this transaction as this owner in the vault. So let's approve that. Sign that transaction. And that'll be the first approval of two required to actually execute this transaction. So process transaction confirmed. Done. Awesome. So you can see here that it was actually approved by moi. Just to double check, that burned a little bit of Quai in terms of gas, but yeah, I can revoke my approval if I want, um, or I can propose we cancel this transaction, right? And so I can submit another proposal to cancel this specific transaction, requiring a consensus 2/3 of the owners now to cancel that transaction. But I'm going to go pivot back to the first owner here, and it says I have one of two proposals. I am also going to approve. Now, this is a special screen because when I approve this transaction, it has two of three necessary approvals in order to execute. So I can just approve it and let it sit, or I can prove and execute in a single transaction. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate that. And then we should see 3 Quai show back up in one of these wallets here. Boom. Transaction approved and executed. Now when I go back over, I think, was it test 2? Nope, nope, nope. Here we go. Yeah, so I am back up from 7.2 Quai to 10.2 Quai. So there we go. If I refresh this, no more pending transactions. I can go to the history and I can see this as an executed transaction of 3 Quai. Bing, bang, boom. Pretty simple stuff, guys. There are options to submit a proposal to add a time lock to all transactions through your vault. There is also an option to add a delegatecall whitelist. So if you're interacting with other smart contracts on the Quai network, mainly DAOs or DeFi protocols, or AMMs or anything like that, um, lending protocols, token launchers, you name it, you might want to be able to allow transactions that call delegate call. Um, that is potentially a huge security concern. So you want to be very selective about those smart contracts or accounts that you allow to call delegate call. So by default, when you launch vaults on Quai Vault, no targets are whitelisted, so delegate call is blocked for all transaction proposals. In the future, you might want to add one, so you can go ahead and propose a transaction to add that. Let's see here. What else should we show you? You can add owners, right? You can submit a proposal to add owners. You can submit a proposal to change your threshold. You can add some modules. So right now, there's only one module supported by Quai Vault in the UI here, and that is the social recovery module. So check the docs to get more details on the social recovery module, but it basically allows you, in the case of, say, every owner loses their keys, or something catastrophic happens, you can grant privileges to external accounts or other smart contracts to be a social recovery owner of this vault. And what that basically allows is allows for these members to basically institute a new set of owners and threshold if they want to, right? So we're going to submit a transaction to add this module. Again, adding this module will require consensus among owners to get that added. And then once it's added, there's going to be another consensus round to set the configuration or actually add the social recovery owners. This just enables the module on the vault. So you can see here, we can go ahead and approve that transaction to add this module to the vault. And then we will need to approve it again and execute it from a separate owner, or just approve it from a separate owner and execute it from this owner. So stand by for that. Oh, no, transaction confirmed. As soon as I look, it's done. There we go. All right. Boom, done. Okay, so one approval here. Let's go back to the deployer and approve and execute so you guys can see what it's like configuring the social recovery module. And then I'll demonstrate a few other things, how to interact with smart contracts, stuff like that. So stand by. Boom, transaction approved and executed. There we go. And then we should see this module pop up in a second here. There it is, social recovery module enabled. I even got the desktop notification for that. So show enabled, social recovery module, and configuration. So here's some interesting information you might want to review. Adding a guardian requires multisig approval, and then how it works. Basically, guardians can initiate a recovery process to change the wallet's owners and threshold. After the recovery period elapses and enough of guardians approve, the recovery can be executed. So again, this is kind of a break glass moment feature here where you can add some additional accounts. Now this is like a whole nother consensus setup, right? So if you add 3 guardians, you can set a threshold for how many guardians need to actually approve the recovery process before it actually takes place. You can set the number of recovery days. I recommend this, of course, if um, you want to be risk averse and mitigate your guardians from being able to take over your vault. Set a recovery period of 3 to 7 days, and then if you see a recovery process kick off that you do not expect, you can not only cancel that process, but also reconfigure your guardians if you need to. So that's good to know, but that's how that works. One last thing here. You do have the ability to interact with contracts. It's actually pretty cool. So let me kick over to the Mojis NFT project over here, and I can demonstrate this. This one's pretty easy. Let's copy this address, and then we'll jump back to Quai Vault. Put this contract address in here, and boom, automatically detects ERC7021 NFT contract, and it downloads the ABI from IPFS and gives you all the functions that you can actually interact with. So we want to mint Let's make the recipient address the actual vault itself. Now this is a free to mint NFT project here, so let's propose that transaction. So we're just minting and sending that to our vault. Propose. And so you guys can see kind of how you can interact with NFTs. Your vault can hold NFTs, interact with NFTs. Same thing for ERC20s. If you want to store some wrap chi, you can do that, interact with wrap chi, and ERC 1155s if you're, into those types of tokens. So bear with me here while this transaction goes through. There's the hash. We got to see the notification in the background here. Done. Boom. All right, so the transaction is proposed. Let's refresh. Refresh. There we go. All right, contract call. Let's approve. Sign. Oh, boom. Done and done. All right. Approved. Cool. Let's jump over to, yeah, that account's a little low. Let's jump over to the third account here. Connect the wallet. We haven't done that yet on this account. Boom. All right. So, and then we'll approve and execute. And then again, this calls mint on that contract from your vault, minting an NFT to your vault. So we should see that show up, and that'll be pretty cool. Transaction confirmed, executed. There it is. Just showed up. NFT holdings. We just minted number 236, the Mojis. Now I can, from here, easily click to send this NFT and propose a transaction to do that. Or I can also go in here and the send NFT view shows up now. So again, as always, you can review all your transactions in the history there. And if you're hesitant about, you know, storing significant amount of funds in your Quai Vault, totally understand. If you want to play around with it, Quai Vault is also live on Testnet, folks. So check the docs for more information. You can see in the developer guide, we have Testnet available for you guys to play around with it over at testnet.quaivault.org. But all the information and everything you would ever want to know is in the docs. And then lastly, if you want to see the source code, it is all publicly available over here on Quai Vault. Again, we're working on an SDK, so you can continue to build or build out some cool things with Quai Vault in the back end as a treasury. And stay tuned for an official command line interface CLI tool for interacting with Quai Vault. So for you hardcore users out there or your agents, if you want them to be able to store and manage funds in a vault, all that is coming real soon. I really appreciate y'all tuning in. Hopefully this was useful for you guys. And if you are a developer and you're auditing and you want to contribute, issues and private security issue reporting is available on to the public on all these repos. So that's it for today, folks. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. Hope you're having a good one and enjoy your super secure multisigs on Quai Network.